just chillin'. Spent years spinning my wheels and searching for a villain. For real, all I needed was a rhythm, a beat, a cell phone, a notebook, a feeling.
Hey yo, welcome back to episode 12 of Limitless. In this episode, I had to go out searching for this guy. He hit me with this challenge, thinking he can stump me, but I went full custom, delivered this sign, and it was a lot coming together. We're taking CAD design, 3D scan data, we're 3D sculpting it in Blender, running it through some new CAM software. A lot of things went wrong in this, but overall the process, learning all this is going to just unlock the floodgates on what's possible for me going forward. So I thought it'd be fun to do a little unboxing. This is the first time Talon's going to see it live on camera.
The name of the game was how do you make a 2D environment turn into a three-dimensional landscape. And so Jed, with the criteria of my grandpa, knew that he had to make some kind of three-dimensional tree deer landscape. I don't know what to expect, and we're excited to open it up here. Never have I ever reached out to a YouTuber and he followed me up. Complete a challenge.
And it was a challenging one. A lot of stuff went wrong.
All right. I'm going to show the camera first. Holy shit, he even put trees in there.
Real trees. Real trees.
Oh my goodness, I love it. He's going to love this. You got the last name in there? This is awesome work, man. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I appreciate it. This is badass.
So the inlays are really what bothered me. I messed them up, but I just wanted to keep going with this piece of wood. I know this piece of wood came from his grandpa. He routed it up, got it prepped for us. So I just wanted to keep pushing forward. It kept getting weirder and weirder as I was trying to just, save it. And overall, it could have came out better, but it's very unique and I'm really happy with it. So
this is an awesome piece. Thank you, Jeff. It's great. I love it. I can't wait to see his reaction too.
Alright, let's flip in the kitchen. I started this with 2 boards from the customer. The sign itself is oak, and I'm not entirely sure what this red piece is. I also started with a deer mount. For quite a while now, I've been wanting to take really detailed scan data and non-uniformly scale the z-axis. The idea is to end up with a large, realistic engraving that has a shallow depth of cut. This turns out to be easier said than done. After designing the letter inlay, I started scanning the deer mount. I tried a few different orientations to ensure I had good coverage. I then aligned and meshed all the scans together. I spent some time fixing the sloppy automatic hole filling and refining the details. A lot of the time, when you're working with scan data, you'll end up smoothing the surface so much that you start washing out that good. I laid everything out in Blender and started getting the scaling figured out. I cut the deer in half to simplify the process, and then smoothed all the edges. I ended up creating a surface from the data and jumping back into SolidWorks. Old habits die hard, and since filming this, I have found doing a Boolean combined on multiple meshes to be much more effective. But in this case, I took a sketch of the perimeter and extruded up to the surface. I then jumped back into Blender to blend the deer into my workpiece. I wasn't super impressed with the results after all this work, so I started sculpting trees to create an entire scene and worked on refining the detail more. Once I was satisfied, I brought the mesh into BobCam. I purchased this software specifically for the ability to program directly to STL files. I have found that creating a CAD surface from a mesh washes out too much detail. I'm still working out the best way to film all this. I think the answer is going to be a 2-camera setup. Here we see my first big failure. The wood for the inlay was not very thick, so I wanted to cut each letter out individually to maximize my thickness. But I didn't cut deep enough with the CNC, and the letters ended up breaking into a million little pieces. My solution to this problem was to mix the sawdust from cutting the letters into the epoxy and then filling the pockets. To my surprise, this worked well. My next big failure happened when I went to cut the seam on the CNC. I went too deep with the pocket and lost some of the lettering. I couldn't think of a good way to line it back up perfectly, so I ended up just filling in the missing areas with a brown marker. This was a disappointing solution to me as a craftsman. I would have just started over if this wood had not come from the customer. I prepped the sign for epoxy and then decided to try dusting it first with black mica powder to create a night scene and hide some of my mistakes. The little bit of powder I used didn't have much effect, so I mixed up some black epoxy and added more shadows stemming from the moon. This gave a pretty good look. However, I wasn't happy with my sculpting of the trees. So while the first coat was still tacky, I began adding bits of bark and pine needles to create a more realistic effect. Finally, I cleaned off the drips and finished the last few coats of epoxy. In the end, I think it turned out great, all things considered. Lessons were learned and ideas were formed. Stay tuned for the next episode.